I want you to close your eyes for a second. Visualize a machine.
Okay.
But not just, a car engine or a computer server. I want you to imagine a machine the size of a civilization. A massive, ancient, intricate structure. It has gears, it has currents, it has logic gates. And according to the manual, the original blueprint, this machine was built for a very specific purpose.
Yeah.
It was designed to manufacture tranquility. It was designed to output protection. It's supposed to run silently, humming along, creating a social fabric that is stable, secure, and, well, harmonious.
Like a generator.
Yeah.
But instead of electricity, it's generating social cohesion.
Yes.
It generates justice.
Right. That's the design. That's the promise. But open your eyes.
Oh.
Look at the data coming out of the real world right now, specifically in regions that claim to be running this machine. The output isn't tranquility. The machine isn't humming. It is screaming. It is grinding. You look at the dashboard and the error logs are terrifying. We aren't seeing protection. We are seeing dowry deaths. We are seeing honor killings. We are seeing acid attacks.
It creates this cognitive dissonance, doesn't it?
It really does.
You have the blueprint saying peace, and the factory floor is just showing massacre. And specifically, looking at the source material for today, we are talking about the honor-killing phenomenon, which, if you really stop to think about the linguistics of it, is a glitch in itself.
It's a paradox.
It's an oxymoron. Honor implies dignity, respect, high standing.
Right.
Killing is the destruction of life. Merging them into a single phrase, honor-killing, is a linguistic virus.
A virus is a good word for it.
It suggests that murder can somehow restore dignity. It's insane.
And that is the jarring noise we are starting with today. We are looking at a complete breakdown of universal logic. You have a father, a man whose biological imperative is to protect his offspring, killing his own daughter to save his face. You have a husband murdering a wife, burning her, poisoning her because of a financial dispute disguised as tradition.
A kitchen accident.
Exactly. It feels like a catastrophic system failure, a blue screen of death for an entire culture.
In that metaphor, the system failure is exactly where we need to live for the next hour.
Yeah.
Because we are diving into a tension that explains this noise.
Okay.
It is the tension between the original design, what our source author, J.R. Ahmed, calls the sovereign intelligence.
Sovereign intelligence, I like that.
And the corrupted, virus-ridden operating system running on top of it today. He calls that corruption the deaf, dumb, and blind indoctrination.
And that's the title of our deep dive today. We're getting into Quranic marriage principles and the abuse of women by J.R. Ahmed. Now, I have to warn you, this isn't a light read. This isn't a gentle Sunday morning self-help pamphlet. This book is, well, it's angry.
It's very angry.
It is aggressive, but it's the kind of anger you see in a structural engineer who watches a building collapse because the contractors ignored the blueprints.
That's a great analogy. It is surgical anger. And our mission today is complex. We aren't just going to recount the crimes. Anyone can read a headline about a bride burning and feel sick.
Yeah.
That's easy. Our job is to look at the architecture.
The architecture.
We need to figure out, does the source text, the Quran itself, actually support the nightmare scenario that Ahmed calls Mula land?
Mula land. He uses that term a lot. It's catchy, but man, is it scathing.
It is. It represents the clergy-dominated mindset, the distorted cultural interpretation of religion that has, overwritten the text.
Right.
The question is, does the text support Mula land and its greed and forced marriages? Or does the text offer a universal logic that has been overwritten, hacked, essentially by human custom?
It's the difference between the law and the lawyer who twists it.
Exactly.
So let's unpack this, because the contrast the author draws it's stark. He starts with the sociology of the distortion. He talks about how culture and self-respect, or what we think is self-respect, have basically cannibalized the text.
This brings us right back to that honor paradox. Ahmed observes the sociology of these regions, Pakistan, India, parts of the Middle East, and he notes that the operating system isn't scripture. The operating system is the ego.
The ego. What do you mean?
The collective ego, the tribal ego. He argues that in many of these societies, the scripture is just a screensaver. It looks holy, it floats around on the screen, but it's not doing the processing.
That's brilliant.
The processing is done by what will the neighbors say.
Which is the most powerful algorithm in human history, probably.
Oh, truly.
He gives this chilling example that really stuck with me. A grown woman marries a grown man against the wishes of her parents.
Okay.
Now, strip away the culture for a second. In a logical world, in a legal world, that's her choice. She is an adult. She has agency.
Correct. Under the sovereign intelligence of the text, she is a free agent.
But in Mullah land, the father and brother are aggrieved. They don't look at her as a human with rights. They look at her as an asset that has depreciated.
A piece of property that is misbehaved.
Yes. They feel their self-respect is damaged because she defied them. So to save face, to patch that dent in their ego, they kill her.
And Ahmed's analysis here is crucial. He calls this deaf, dumb, and blind indoctrination.
Right. Why those specific words?
Why deaf, dumb, and blind? Because all the sensory inputs, the text saying, do not kill, the human empathy saying, this is your sister.
They're blocked.
They're blocked. The ego overrides the sovereign intelligence. If the text says, do not kill, and your culture says, kill to save face, and you choose culture,
You've just deleted the text.
you have effectively deleted the text. You are worshiping the self, not the sovereign.
There's another example he gives that's even more twisted. I mean, if the honor killing is the breakdown of the family unit, this next one is the breakdown of the entire community justice system.
Oh, the tit-for-tat rape.
Yeah.
This is truly the bottom of the barrel of human morality. It's hard to even discuss without feeling physically ill, but we have to look at the logic or the lack of it.
So the scenario is a boy is seen walking with a girl.
Just
Walking, maybe talking, in a village setting. The girl's family, her tribe, demands justice for this insult. So the village council, the elders, the people who are supposed to be the guardians of wisdom, they come up with a solution. They demand that the boy's village hand over one of their girls, the boy's sister, usually
Usually his sister.
to be raped by men of the girl's village.
Pause on that. Just
Sure.
think about the mechanics of that decision.
It's insanity.
It's tribalism masquerading as justice.
Yeah.
It's treating women not as human beings, but as currency.
As poker chips.
Exactly, as poker chips.
Yeah.
Your boy took 10 points of honor from us, so we will take 10 points of honor from you by destroying this innocent woman.
It's a zero-sum game played with human bodies.
Exactly. And Ahmed is shouting from the rooftops. You can hear the font screaming in the book that this is the antithesis of the source material. The Quranic principle is, no bearer of burdens shall bear the burden of another.
Individual responsibility.
That is individual responsibility. That is the sovereign intelligence. This tit-for-tat is a glitch where the algorithm of the text, which is designed to protect, is replaced by an algorithm of vengeance.
Speaking of algorithms and currency, we have to talk about the money. Because if honor is the social currency that's broken, the actual financial currency is broken too. The book spends a lot of time on the economic glitch.
It does.
Specifically, dowry versus gift.
This is a classic example of inverting the flow of a system. Imagine a river that is supposed to flow south to water the crops.
Okay.
Suddenly, someone builds a pump and forces it to flow north, and the crops die. That's what has happened here.
So let's look at the river as it was designed. The text has a rule, verse 4.4. It talks about the sadaquat.
Right. The word is often translated as dowry, which is confusing for English speakers because of the cultural baggage. But the text calls it sadaquat, or naila.
And the direction of this transaction is explicit.
Non-negotiable. It flows from the man to the woman.
From the man to the woman.
Always. It is described as a token of esteem. It is a demonstration of capability. It says, I value you, I am capable of maintaining a family, and here is a gift that is yours.
And here's the key. Listen closely.
It belongs to her, not her father, not her brother, her.
So she could. What? She can buy a house with it, she can burn it, she can invest it.
Whatever she wants. It is her security net, her financial independence from the word go.
Okay, that's the design. The man proves his worthiness by giving a valuable gift. But then you have the Jehaz sickness.
The cultural virus.
Yeah. In Mullah land, specifically in the South Asian cultures mentioned in the source, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the flow is reversed.
Completely reversed.
The bride's family has to scrape and save. The father goes to a loan shark. He borrows money he can never repay. Why?
To bribe the groom's family to take his daughter.
Think about that inversion.
It's unbelievable. In the text, the woman is a prize to be won. In the culture, the woman is a burden to be offloaded.
Yeah.
You have to pay someone to take her.
That is devastating when you put it that way.
Ahmed uses very strong language here. He says, this is kafir behavior.
Whoa.
It's a heavy theological charge. It means disbeliever behavior.
So he's saying they're acting outside the faith entirely.
He argues that Muslims have adopted the customs of the surrounding non-Muslim cultures, specifically the Hindu dowry system, and just baptized it.
But it's really just greed.
It's essentially greed. It's families selling their sons to the highest bidder. My son is a doctor, so his price is $100,000, a new car, and an apartment.
And the consequences connect us right back to that cold open. The noise of the misuse screaming. This isn't just about, oh, weddings are expensive. This is about leverage. If the dowry isn't enough.
The harassment starts. The psychological torture. You didn't give enough gold. Where's the motorcycle you promised? Your family is cheap.
It's constant pressure.
And then the kitchen accidents.
The bride burning.
Ahmed notes that these murders are often staged. A stove explodes. A sari catches fire. It's gruesome.
But why? What's the end game?
Because if the wife dies, the man can marry again.
Oh my God.
And if he marries again, he gets a new dowry.
He can harvest a new crop of money.
It is the monetization of murder. The algorithm of greed has completely overwritten the algorithm of protection.
So let's just lay this out clearly. The sovereign intelligence, the text, designed a system where the woman is financially secure, the man is the maintainer, he pays the gift, he proves his stability.
Yes.
But the glitch inverted it so the woman pays for the privilege of being exploited.
Precisely. The rationalist perspective here is that the text designed a safety net. The culture turned it into a trap.
Wow.
And this is why Ahmed is so furious. He's looking at a perfect architectural blueprint for justice. A building designed to be earthquake-proof, and then looking at the collapsing rubble of society and saying, you aren't reading the blueprints, you're building with mud when you were given steel.
Well, let's look at those blueprints. Let's get our hands on the steel. We need to talk about architectural justice.
Yes.
Because there is a specific term in the book that stopped me in my tracks. I had to read it 3 times.
Mithakon Galizan.
Yes, that sound. Mithakon Galizan.
It sounds heavy. It sounds ancient.
It is heavy. And this is where we need to put on our linguistic hard hats. We can't just glaze over this. Ahmed performs what I'd call an autopsy on this phrase, which appears in verse 4.21.
So this is the term used to describe the marriage contract itself.
Correct. But calling it a contract is a disservice. Contract is flimsy. It sounds like paper.
Yeah.
It sounds like the terms of service you scroll past on your iPhone.
Or a car lease.
Oh,
something you can get out of.
Exactly. Something you sign and forget.
Okay.
But the Quranic choice of words is deliberate. Let's break it down. The first part is mithaq.
Okay.
It comes from the root WTHQ or wizak.
Wizak. What does that root physically mean?
It refers to a rope, a fetter, something that binds a captive or an animal.
Okay, so it has a sense of restraint. Think about a tent in a storm. You need rope's wizak to hold it down. It implies tension. It implies holding something together that would otherwise fly apart.
So it's a bind. It's a structural link.
The source mentions Urutul Wuska, handle that does not break. So mithaq isn't just an agreement. It is a binding, stabilizing force.
All right, so we have the rope, a handle that won't break. What about the adjective, galizan?
This is where it gets really interesting visually. Galiz comes from a root meaning thickness, density, grossness, in the sense of substance.
Give me a visual.
Imagine a piece of cloth. A fine silk is thin, it tears easily. That is not galiz. Now imagine a thick, heavy wool blanket or a burlap sack folded over 4 times.
Right.
That is galiz. Or think of land. Sock sand is easy to walk on. Galiz land is rough, hard, uneven terrain. It's substantial. It's difficult to traverse.
So it's the opposite of something flimsy or transparent.
Exactly.
So putting it together, mithaq and galizan.
A thick, dense, rough, unbreakable, heavy covenant.
That changes the vibe of marriage completely. It's not a Hallmark card.
It's not. It's a fortress. It's an anchor. Now, why does this matter? Why go into the linguistics?
I was just about to ask.
Because of the implication for divorce.
Right. The triple talaq. The idea that a man can just say, I divorce you 3 times.
Exactly. The Mullah Land idea is that a man, in a fit of rage, because his dinner is cold, can shout, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, and the marriage is over instantly.
Poof, gone.
But if you apply the sovereign intelligence of the definition, how do you snap a mithaq and galizan in 3 seconds?
You can't. You can't tear a thick canvas tarp with a snap of your fingers.
Exactly. The architecture doesn't support it. You have to untie the knots. You have to unwind the rope. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes witnesses. It takes a tooling off period.
So the very definition of the contract makes the instant divorce logically impossible.
Logically impossible. The glitch treats marriage like a Post-it note. The text treats it like a bank vault.
It's designed to withstand stress. It's designed so that human emotion, that flash of anger, doesn't collapse the structure.
It's a solemn covenant. It's meant to be a stabilizing fetter, not a disposable agreement.
But for a vault to work, you need the right keys, and you need the right people turning them. A bank vault is useless if a toddler is playing with the lock.
A perfect transition.
Which brings us to the consensus algorithm, the no-force rule.
Verse 4.19.
It is not lawful for you to force women. It seems straightforward. Don't force them.
It seems obvious, right?
Yeah. And yet we have the silence myth.
Right. This is so pervasive.
Explain that.
In many traditional circles, there's this idea that a bride's modesty prevents her from speaking. So if the father asks, "Do you want to marry this man?" and she sits there looking at her feet, silent.
They take that as a yes.
They take that as a yes. Her silence is her consent.
Which is insane.
Ahmed tears this apart. He argues the source demands full mutual consent. Silence is ambiguous. Silence can be fear. Silence can be shock. Silence can be a silent scream.
Right. It's the absence of a no, not the presence of a yes.
The sovereign intelligence requires active will. You cannot enter a mithaqan, a heavy covenant, by accident or by omission. Right. It requires a clear, unambiguous I do.
And you definitely can't enter it if you don't even understand what it is, if you're a child.
This is a critical variable. Maturity. The text mentions the age of sound judgment in verse 4.6.
This part of the book was fascinating to me. The source links the ability to marry with the ability to handle money.
It's a brilliant pragmatic test. It removes the ambiguity of puberty, which can happen at very different ages.
So what's the argument?
The argument is, if an orphan cannot be trusted with their own inheritance until they are mature, until they have sound judgment, how on earth can they be trusted with a mithaqan galizan?
Right. If you aren't mentally capable of signing a check for a used car, you aren't mentally capable of signing a life-binding covenant.
Precisely. The stakes are infinitely higher.
So what age is that? Does he give a number?
He digs for data points on what that age actually is. He brings up a historical account of Ibn Umar from the earliest days of the community.
This is the story about the battle, right?
Yes. Ibn Umar presents himself to the Prophet for battle at age 14. He wants to fight. He wants to be a man. The Prophet looked at him and turns him away. He's a child. He is not capable.
He's a liability on the battlefield.
He comes back a year later at 15, and he is allowed.
So the line is drawn.
The source suggests that maturity, the limit between childhood and manhood, is historically and biologically around that 15 to 18 range. It's when judgment forms.
It is certainly not 9. It is certainly not 6.
It is absolutely not. So the child bride isn't just a tragedy. It's a violation of the system's requirements.
It's an invalid input.
Exactly. The system requires a legally capable party. A child is not a legally capable party. Therefore, the contract is null, void. It never happened.
So all this defense of child marriage.
The Mullah land obsession with child marriage is, according to Ahmed, a perversion of the text caused by relying on dubious historical hearsay instead of the Quranic standard of sound judgment.
Okay, we've looked at the architecture of the contract. We've seen the heavy rope. We've seen the requirement for a mature mind to tie that rope. Now, I want to shift gears. I want to move into the darker corners of the source material. The stuff that makes people really uncomfortable.
Hard stuff.
The stuff that critics point to and say, see, the machine I asked broken.
The tension points.
Yes. The sovereign intelligence versus what the author calls the grandfather clause.
Yeah.
We have to talk about right-hand possession.
Verse 23.6, the big one.
What your right hands possess. No, let's be real. In Mullah land, as Ahmed describes it, this is the loophole of all loopholes. It's interpreted as permission for concubines, sex slaves.
It's worse than that.
Yeah.
He references how groups like ISIS use Bukharian hadith to justify the mass rape of captives. They would wave this verse and say, God allows this.
It sounds like ownership. Possess. It sounds like you own a person, like you own a toaster.
Yeah.
And if you own the toaster, you can plug it in whenever you want.
That is the glitch interpretation, the literal, decontextualized, and frankly monstrous interpretation.
Okay.
But Ahmed says, stop. Look at the syntax. Look at the context.
So what is the rationalist rebuttal? Because you can't just wave away the words, they are there.
He argues that the phrase, ma malakat ayamahum, what your right hands possess, refers to those already in a bond or legitimate wedlock. But to understand why it's there, we have to understand the grandfather clause concept.
Okay, walk me through that.
Imagine you were introducing a new, perfect law into an imperfect, broken society.
Okay.
A society that relies on slavery. A society where women are treated as property. A society where war has left thousands of women as captives in households.
So this system is already corrupted.
No.
Deeply.
Now, you want to fix it. If you snap your fingers and say, everyone is free immediately and all previous bonds are dissolved, what happens?
Chaos. Mass confusion.
Humanitarian disaster. What happens to the women who were dependent on those households for food, for shelter, for protection?
They end up on the street.
They're destitute, they starve, or they are captured by someone else and re-victimized.
So immediate abolition creates a vacuum that could be worse in the short term.
Exactly. So the sovereign intelligence uses a grandfather clause. It validates the existing bonds to protect the women so they can't just be dumped, but it stops the practice for the future.
It's a phase-out strategy.
It's pragmatism over idealism. Ahmed compares it to the American Civil War. This was a powerful comparison for me.
Unpack that.
The U.S. ended slavery abruptly with the Emancipation Proclamation and the war. And morally, that was the right thing to do. 100%.
Right.
But practically, it led to a war with 1 million deaths, the total economic collapse of the South, and a century of Jim Crow where the freed people were often in worse conditions than before because there was no infrastructure to support them.
It was a shock to the system that the system couldn't handle.
Right. The Quranic approach, according to the source, was a gradual release. You dry up the source of slavery. You can't make new slaves. You encourage freeing slaves as penance for sins, but you maintain the protection of the existing bond until the transition is complete.
So what your right hands possess isn't a license to grab new women.
No.
It's a command to take responsibility for the ones you were already entangled with from the old broken system.
Correct. It's about not abandoning people. It's saying you are responsible for these people, feed them, clothe them, treat them well. The Mulaland interpretation twists responsibility into exploitation.
Wow.
They took a rule designed to protect vulnerable women during a societal transition and turned it into a permanent license for rape.
That is a massive distinction. One is a shield, the other is a sword. And speaking of things that get turned into swords, we have to talk about the other elephant in the room, the one that everyone thinks of when they think of this topic.
Polygamy.
Polygamy.
The polygamy protocol.
Everyone knows the stereotype. 1 man, 4 wives. It's the cartoon version of the culture.
And the justification usually given, which Ahmed mocks mercilessly, is biological.
Right.
The argument goes, men have higher sex drives. Men are programmed to spread their seed. There are more women than men in the world, so we are doing them a favor.
He calls out the televangelist Dr. Zakir Naik on this specifically.
He does. He dismantles the medical arguments one by one.
Yeah.
But let's look at the source code again, verse 4.3. Does it start with, if you are horny?
No, it starts with orphans.
That is the context key.
Oh.
It is explicitly linked to orphans and justice.
Not lust.
The context is post-war. The emergency light is flashing. You have a society where men have died in battle at Uhud. You have widows. You have orphans. Who's going to take care of them?
There's no welfare state.
There is no welfare state. There is no foster care system.
So the multiple wives allowance isn't for sexual variety. It's a social welfare program.
It's a shelter. The source argues it's about providing the warmth of a family structure to those who lost it. It is an obligation of the community to absorb the vulnerable. It is not a buffet for the wealthy.
And there's a constraint, right? A limiter on the engine. Because if it's just marry who you want, that's chaos.
A massive limiter. If you fear you will not be able to deal justly, then only one.
And only one.
Now let's do the math on deal justly. The source argues that the sovereign intelligence sets the bar for justice so high that it is nearly impossible for a human to meet.
What does justice look like in that context? It can't just be money.
No, it's not just buying 2 identical necklaces. It's emotional availability. It's time. If you spend 4 hours with wife A, you must spend 4 hours with wife B. If you smile at wife A, you must smile at wife B.
That's impossible.
Can a human heart be perfectly split like a pie chart?
No, you will always favor one, even slightly.
Exactly. And the text later says in another verse, you will never be able to deal justly between wives, even if it is your ardent desire.
Wait, so the text sets a condition, you must be just, and then later says you can't be just.
Which leads to the logical conclusion. Monogamy is the factory setting.
It's the default.
Monogamy is the only way to pass the test. Polygamy is the emergency backup generator for specific social crises involving orphans.
But what has Mula Land done?
They've turned the emergency generator into the main power source.
Right.
They ignored the orphan condition, they ignored the justice condition, and they just focused on the number 4.
Ahmed cites the King Abdullah example.
30 wives, 35 children. It's treated like a collection, like collecting stamps.
It's treating women like disposable cars. Buying and selling, as Ahmed puts it.
That is a violation of the deal justly clause. You cannot deal justly with 30 people. You probably don't even know their middle names. It's a mathematical impossibility. It creates a harem, not a family. And the sovereign intelligence hates the harem.
So we've seen the distortion, we've seen the heavy architecture, we've seen the backup generators being misused. Now, how do we fix it? How do we debug the system?
Yeah.
Because Ahmed doesn't just complain, he offers a path back.
The debugging process starts in the mind. It starts with the concept of chastity.
The source talks a lot about chastity and control, and again, this fights the men are animals narrative.
This is fascinating because it pushes back against the biological determinism argument.
Yeah.
The idea that men have needs, and if they don't satisfy them, they'll explode.
Right. Ahmed says the sex urge is a mental condition, not a physical one.
He compares it to food versus thoughts. If you don't eat, you die. Your body consumes itself. That is a physical necessity.
Okay.
If you don't have sex,
Yeah.
you don't die, you just feel frustration. It's a desire, not a need. It originates in the mind.
So if it's mental, it's controllable.
Exactly. The sovereign intelligence demands self-mastery. It demands lowering the gaze.
Verse 24.30. Tell the believing men to lower their gaze.
That is the firewall. If you remove the firewall, the virus gets in. If you are out pub crawling, looking at everything, your mind gets infected with desire, and then you try to find loopholes to satisfy it.
Loopholes like muta.
Muta, the temporary marriage.
This blew my mind. I didn't know this was a thing. A contract to be married for, what, an hour? A day?
I marry you for 3 hours for $50. It's a transaction.
That sounds like prostitution with extra steps.
Ahmed calls it mulagaga land. It's legalizing prostitution by saying a prayer over it.
But how does that square with the heavy covenant?
It doesn't. It completely violates the concept of mithakon galizan. Remember, the thick covenant. How can a 1-hour marriage be a thick covenant? It's a thread. It's a mockery.
And he has this scathing critique of men who marry converts, the good English girl scenario.
Yeah.
It felt very specific.
It's a pattern he sees in the West. A Muslim man wants a woman he meets in a pub, a good English girl.
Okay.
He can't date her openly because his family would freak out. He can't sleep with her because it's haram. So what does he do?
He converts her.
He forces her to bleat the shahada, just say the Arabic words. She doesn't know what they mean. She doesn't believe them. She puts on a scarf, and they get married.
But it's fake. It's a costume. It's a sham to get around the rules.
It's based on lust, not principle. And Ahmed points out the tragedy. Once the thrill is gone, or she gets boring, or his mom finds a proper bride from back home,
He dumps her.
he dumps her. He abandons her and the kids.
And she is left thinking, if this is Islam, I want nothing to do with it.
Exactly. He destroys the image of the faith and ruins lives, all because he couldn't control his gaze. He found a loophole for promiscuity instead of doing the hard work of chastity.
There's one last piece of the debugging process we need to install.
The guardian. The wali. This is often a point of contention. In the West, the idea of a woman needing a guardian to marry sounds, well, it sounds like patriarchy.
In the distortion, the guardian is the owner. He decides who she marries. You will marry your cousin, end of story.
That's the Dawoodian Hadith influence. Claims that a woman has no voice, that her consent is irrelevant.
But Ahmed flips this.
He says the guardian is not an owner. The guardian is a firewall.
Explain that distinction.
Think about a celebrity. They have an agent. They have a lawyer. Does the lawyer own the celebrity?
No.
No. The lawyer protects the celebrity from bad contracts. The lawyer reads the fine print.
So the guardian's role is due diligence.
Exactly. To ensure the groom isn't a scammer. To ensure the mithakon galizan is respected. To ensure the dowry is actually paid. The guardian is there to represent the woman's best interests in a negotiation.
But he doesn't hold the remote control.
No. The source argues that once a woman reaches sound judgment, that maturity we talked about, she has the sovereign right to decide her own affairs. The guardian can advise, he can vet, but he cannot force. And he cannot stop her if her choice is valid.
So it's a check and balance system, not a dictatorship.
It's designed to prevent secret marriages. To prevent a guy from tricking a girl into a fast marriage without her family knowing, using her, and leaving her. The guardian ensures the community is witness to the bond.
So let's zoom out. We've been deep in the gears. We've looked at the rope, the money, the release clauses, the firewalls. When we step back and look at the whole picture, what do we see?
When you look at the architecture described in J.R. Ahmed's source, you see a system designed for protection.
Stability.
You see Hosak, stability, financial security for women, care for orphans.
It's a sanctuary. It's a machine that actually produces tranquility.
But the tragedy is the cultural glitch.
Driven by greed, the dowry.
Driven by ego, the honor killing.
Driven by lust, the polygamy abuse.
These forces have turned the sanctuary into a crime scene. And the deaf, dumb, and blind, as Ahmed calls them, are the ones who follow the mullah land distortions.
Right.
They are following the virus, thinking it's the software. They defend the virus with their lives, thinking they are defending God.
It's a heavy realization. We started with the noise of the glitch, the dissonance of the screaming machine, and I think the source is trying to tune us back into the original frequency.
The universal logic, the signal in the noise.
Here is a final thought to chew on. A provocative question to leave you with as you go back to your day.
Go for it.
If the solemn covenant, the Mithakon Galizon, was designed by the sovereign intelligence to be unbreakable, thick, dense, and protective, why has human society worked so hard for so long to make it disposable for men and a prison for women?
That is the question.
Perhaps the glitch isn't an accident. Perhaps it's not just a mistake or ignorance. Maybe it's a feature of human control fighting against divine liberation.
Because a thick rope holds the family together.
But a cut rope, a loose rope, that leaves the powerful free to do whatever they want.
And that is a terrifying thought.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.